think the team is? I brought the G's with me like I'm Morty. Jesus, I pray they leave us before it's gory. Believers, they wanna see us and never stop. I can belong with the winners.
Hey guys, what's up? Producer engineer Alex Scott here with Consordini.com, continuing our little mini series on how to mix trap and rap. In previous videos we've taken a look at mixing our beat, so our drums and the synthesizers and bass line and all that stuff. In the previous video we looked at the lead vocal, and in this video we're going to look at the background vocals and the hooks. So we're going to be using a little bit more effects. If you have not already watched the video on at least the lead vocals, definitely go watch that one, because it's going to show you some of the ways that we get our overall vocal tone, and I will be just kind of globally doing a little bit of that stuff to the other tracks, but I won't be going into it in as much detail. I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on the creative effects that we use to get ad-libs and stuff like that to sit really, really nicely. So again, definitely go watch the lead vocal video first. The artist of this who created this tune is called Fresh Mix. He's based out of California. He's a fabulous rapper, singer, producer. Really pleased that I get to work on this tune for him. So if you guys want to check out more of his music, you can visit his website at freshmix.com. Fresh, F-R-E-S-H, mix is M-I-C-K-S.com. You can check out some more of his beats and stuff there. So big ups to him for letting us use this track. So getting right down to it. Like I said, we've got our lead vocal, we've got our beat. Those are all in pretty good shape. Now we have a few other vocal elements going on here. We have kind of a chorus hook, which I've put into a bus so we can kind of process the whole thing. And then we also have some ad-libs and some dubs in here. So we're going to be doing a couple of different things to each of these to kind of give them their own vibe. But I'm going to start with our chorus vocal here.
Game with the boys, whole squad moving like we all alone. She need a place to stay for the night. Well, I'm sorry, baby, mix ain't never home.
So really cool sounding part for sure. The first thing I'm going to do right off the bat is pan a couple of these around. And when we got the, oops, I'm sorry, I actually meant to do that like this. When we got the track from the artist, he had them labeled as main and then dub 1 and dub 2. I actually need to change my names over here as well. And so usually when I see that, I immediately start thinking, okay, you've got one, a main one, and then you've got two extras. Well, we've got two speakers. Why not pan them left and right? C Vox L, C Vox R. So that's immediately what I'm going to do, is I'm going to take these and we'll start with hard left and right. That's really nice and wide. But that, I feel like that might actually be a little bit too wide. So I'm going to bring these back in to left and right 60%. Okay. Now, because this is the same vocalist, we don't have multiple vocalists, all of the settings that we used over here on our lead vocal, these can all be applied to this, and we know that they're probably going to work out pretty well, and it's going to keep the vocals sounding nice and consistent between the different parts of the song. So we're going to take those and those. That's, console 1, which is our high-pass filter, a little bit of EQing, and our peak limiter to catch the peaks. Then you're going to use the Summit Audio TLA 100. That's leveling everything out. The de-esser, the DE555 from McDSP, that's doing our de-essing, so taming any spittiness in the S's of the vocalist. And then we've got this last EQ, the McDSP Retro 4020 EQ, and we're adding a bit of 16K ultra top end sheen. Okay? So right there, we've got our vocal really nice and present, and sounding pretty much identical to our rap vocals. And if we go in between the two of them,
the win, I'ma call it like a psychic or a prophet. There ain't no one that can stop it. Or you wanna peep game with the boys, whole squad moving like we all alone.
They sound real nice and consistent. So we're already off to a good start. Now, with a chorus vocal like this, I'm going to give these just a little bit more gain. With a chorus vocal or a hook vocal like this, it gives us a little bit more room in terms of creativity. So, and again, because it's rap, because it's hip hop, I'm not really going for like big epic reverbs or anything. That's more of like a pop or rock vocal kind of a thing. What we are going to do, though, is we're going to add a little bit of delay to it, which is just going to bring out a little bit of density. So I'm just using the stock delay here in Studio One, and we're going to have to line up the tempos a little bit. So that's a little bit too fast. There we go. That's pretty good. Quarter note delay. And we are going to then use this low cut feature to cut the low end out of our delay. We're going to pull it back in the mix and pull the feedback back a little bit as well. Because this is, again, we're not going for like a big effect. We just want to thicken things a little bit and make it feel a little bit more exciting.
You want to peep game with the boys, whole squad moving like we all alone. She need a place to stay for the night. Well, I'm sorry, baby, mix ain't never home. I never go out looking for the havoc. Lose the starting static, guess what comes around, goes around, go. I took off in the tinted out.
That's nice. While he's singing, you can't really hear it particularly. It's just adding a little bit of extra dimension and texture. So that's, I think, a pretty good starting place for our chorus vocal. I'm also going to bring our vocal writer over here just to pump this up a little bit and again, ride the volume just like we did on the lead vocal. But I'm going to put it before our delay so that it's not trying to bring up the volume of the delay thinking that it's a vocal. Oh, and that's the mono version. We need to use the stereo version here. And again, Vocal Writer from Waves, this is a fabulous plugin. I use it all the time because it does just a fabulous job of leveling things out and kind of writing the fader for you and just getting your vocal to sit really consistently in your mix. So we're going to go for loud vocal, just like we did with the lead, and push the range up a little bit because it is what was all recorded a little quiet.
What comes around, goes around, go. I took off in the tinted out.
So let's go ahead and hear the verse into the chorus.
No one that can stop it. You wanna beat game with the boys, whole squad moving like we all alone. She need a place to stay for the night. Well, I'm sorry, baby, mix ain't never home. I never go out looking for the havoc. Lose the starting static, guess what comes around, goes around, go. I took off in the tinted out Lex, cup a new year, now that one's over.
So I'm pulling the mix on the delay up just a little bit, but that sounds great. It's thick, it's in your face, it's really, there's a lot of texture to it, so I'm loving that so far. So we've got our lead in a good place, we've got our hooks in a good place. Now let's take a look at these ad-libs that sit behind some of our verses.
Who you think the team is? I brought the G's with me like I'm Morty. Jesus, I pray they leave us before it's gory. Believers, they want to see us and never stop. I came along with the winners, we never hang with the...
Okay, so we've got a couple elements here. We've got the ad-lib track, which is kind of some shouts and some, skirts, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Damn.
Super, super cool. So we're going to do something real creative with those in just a minute. The first thing, though, and the easiest thing looking at this arrangement is we have these harmonies. And we're going to treat these real similar to how we did in the chorus. We're going to go left 40 this time so that they're just a little bit narrower so that when we hit that hook, the hook widens up because we got those at 60%, right? So I'm going to put these 40, actually maybe even 20 left and right. And it's still going to give it some spread, but you're going to kind of start with your lead, and those harmonies come in, and it kind of does this, and you've got ad-lib fiddle around there, and then when it hits that hook, our vocal sound's just going to go pow and get real wide. So that's a great way to build anticipation and dynamic through a tune. So,
Jesus, I pray they leave us before it's gory. Believers, they want to see.
Now, because these are backgrounds, I don't really need to worry a huge amount about, using all of this stuff, the de-esser and the extra EQing and stuff. I'm just going to use my console one, which is, again, our high-pass filter and a little bit of basic compression, a little bit of basic EQ. And then we're going to use the Summit to level them out. And that's really it. These are going to be a little bit more behind. Jesus, I pray they leave us before it's gory. Believers, they want to see us. It's just some nice extra texture in there. So hearing those in context with the beat.
Who you think the team is? I brought the G's with me like I'm Morty. Jesus, I pray they leave us before it's gory. Believers, they wanna see us and never stop. Yeah, my team belong with the winners. We never hang with the ops.
So, it sounded pretty solid. Now, moving forward, we have this dub. So these parts, they do a harmony in that first section. And then here, they are a little bit more intense. And they're just, you know, again, kind of doubling what that lead is doing. So I'm going to give them a little bit more game here. And then we have a kind of dub track that's doing the same thing, but it's an extra layer. So this is where we can get a little bit creative. We're going to give it our console one, we're going to give it the summit, and then we're actually going to do some distortion on this one and a little bit more aggressive filtering to give it its own vibe. And we're going to have it be nice and forward. So we'll set up a loop point, make it a little easier to work on. And I'm going to band past this. Okay? We're going for kind of a radio or telephone effect here. A lot of distortion. Yeah. Little gate. Get some of that headphone noise out of there. And that sounded pretty hip. You know, again, on its own, obviously, it sounds a little unusual. But when you listen to it in context with these other vocals...
If they need young squad for the kingdom, chasing after tail like I'm Sonic, can you keep up? Mix another gin with the tonic, got me keep up. Get another win, I'm a collar if they need.
It's a really nice effect. It helps it to sit in its own little world. It creates a really nice texture that really helps that.
Yeah, we ain't bred in the streets, there. But you know they got the hammer if they need young squad for the kingdom. Chasing after tail like I'm Sonic, can you keep up? Mix another gin with the tonic, got me keep up. Get another win.
I like that a lot. So now, last thing we've got here is this Adlib track. So what I'm going to do with this, because it's running under these sections where we don't have a ton of stereo stuff going on, I'm going to use a stereo spreading unit. The one that I really like is this Eventide H910 harmonizer, which is a replica of a vintage rack unit that was used for this kind of thing all the time. So we need to make sure it's a stereo track, yep. And you can hear, all this is doing is it's going to take what was just a mono vocal in the middle and spread it. It's almost like a chorus, kind of. It makes it really wide. Very, very nice sounding. And we're also going to make sure that we have our same vocal settings on console 1 and the summit. And in addition to doing that harmonizer, I am going to push this vocal a little bit more in terms of the compression and a little bit of drive to, again, you know, help it stand out as its own texture. Okay. So we'll add a little bit of drive.
We don't love these hoes.
Crank our compression down a little bit more. Okay. And then we're going to roll our high pass up a little bit more so that it's just, it's a little thinner and a little bit punchier. Okay, so let's hear how that's sitting now with just all of our vocals together.
Stacking to the wall, hide it all under the sheets. Who you think the team is? I brought the G's with me like I'm Morty. Jesus, I pray they leave us before it's gory. Believers, they want to see us and never stop. Yeah, my team belong with the winners. We never hang with the ops. We don't love these hoes. That's a rule, I don't cheat. While you be thinking.
So I think those are sitting really nice. Each of those vocal elements has its own character. Each of them has its own spot in the mix, and I think it's sounding real solid. So let's go ahead.
Who you think the team is? I brought the G's with me like I'm Morty. Jesus, I pray they leave us before it's gory. Believers, they want to see us and never stop. Yeah, my team belong with the winners. We never hang with the ops. We don't love these hoes. That's a rule, I don't cheat. While you be thinking about the broad, you really thinking of me. Fucking with all of my chiefs. Yeah, we ain't bred in the streets, but you know they got the hammer if they need young squad for the kingdom. Chasing after tail like I'm Sonic, can you keep up? Mix another gin with the tonic, got me keep up. Get another win, I'ma call it like a psychic or a prophet. There ain't no one that can stop it or defeat us.
Comes the chorus.
With the boys, whole squad moving like we all alone.
Boom.
She need a place to stay for the night. Well, I'm sorry, baby, Mix ain't never home. I never go out looking for the havoc. Lose a is starting static. Guess what comes around goes around, go. I took off in the tinted out Lex, got the new year, now that one's old. Guess what come around go. So what's the move, what's the move, what's the move? I'm 23, still moving like MJ do. I keep a joint roll.
So there you go. It's nice, it's wide, you've got great dynamic between the verse sections, and then it hits that chorus and it just widens right up. So that, I think, is a really great starting point for this mix overall. You know, obviously, anytime you're mixing anything, you're going to want to reference your mix on a number of different systems before we move into mastering and make tweaks accordingly. I will do that for this track as well, but the next video in this series is going to be mastering this song and preparing it for final release. So thank you guys again so much for checking out the video. My name is Alex Scott with Consordini.com. Do you guys have any thoughts on this? How do you guys mix your vocals, your background vocals specifically? Do you have any cool tricks for making Adlibs stand out or do anything cool? We'd love to hear any ideas you have down in the comments. So thanks again for watching. We do appreciate it, and we will see you in the next video.
I brought the G's with me like I'm Morty. Jesus, I pray they leave us before it's gory. Believers, they want to see us and never see. My team belong with the winners, we never hang with the ops. That's the rule, I don't cheat. While you be thinking about the broad, you're really thinking of me. Fucking with all of my chiefs. Yeah, we ain't bred in the streets, but you know they got the hammer if they need. Young squad for the kingdom. Chasing after tail like I'm Sonic, can you keep up? Mix another gin with the tonic, got me. Getting